Welcome to this public meeting of the Princeton Board of Education. The board is an elected, unpaid group of 10 citizens who set policy and make decisions on educational, financial, and personal matters for the Princeton Public Schools on behalf of all residents. We are always pleased when members of the community attend our meetings. The board and the school district operate under applicable New Jersey laws and under regulations of the New Jersey State Board of Education. Each meeting includes an opportunity for those attending to comment on items on the published agenda or other matters of importance to them. The board reserves the right to limit the time allotted to public participation. Law limits discussion of individual personnel and confidential matters. We hope our meetings provide useful opportunities for communication between the board and the community. Thank you for attending.
As required under the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 1046 et sequentia, adequate notice was given for calling this meeting. It was authorized by the Board of Education and forwarded to the municipal clerk, the Princeton Packet, and the Trenton Times on January 6, 2023, and re-advertised on August 10, 2023. It was also distributed to the schools and others on the standard distribution list. The board reserves the right to enter into executive session during all meetings of the Board of Education. Board Policy 168, recording devices, requires that we inform those attending this in-person meeting that the proceedings are being recorded. This meeting is being live streamed. Public members who wish to make comments at the appropriate time, as noted in the agenda or added by the presiding officer, shall be asked to approach the podium and make comments. The representative of the sending district is authorized to vote on such matters that affect sending district students or affect the governance of the Princeton Public Schools as more specifically designated in NJSA 18A 38.8.1. In the event this statute is amended, the law shall take precedence over this bylaw. Sending district votes pertaining to personnel actions refer to high school, central administrative, and district-wide staff. District-wide staff only. Votes otherwise are considered abstentions.
Thank you, Mr. Bolden. Would you please call the roll?
Sure. Daphne Kendall.
Here.
Betsy Baglio.
Here.
Beth Barron.
Here.
Debbie Bronfeld.
Here.
Jean Durbin.
Present.
Mara Franceschi.
Here.
Susan Cantor.
Here.
Brian McDonald.
Present.
Michelle Tuck-Ponder.
Present.
Robert Christopher.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Bolden. Moving on now to adoption of the minutes. D1, adoption of the minutes for August 22nd, 2023. Can I get a motion? Mara, second Beth.
Daphne Kendall.
Yes.
Betsy Baglio.
Yes.
Beth Barron.
Yeah.
Debbie Bronfeld.
Yes.
Jean Durbin.
Yes.
Mara Franceschi.
Yes.
Susan Cantor.
Yes.
Brian McDonald.
Yes.
Michelle Tuck-Ponder.
Yes.
Rob Christopher.
Abstain.
Motion passes.
Okay. Can I get a motion now for adoption, for D2, adoption of the minutes for August 31st, 2023? First, Rob, second, Brian.
Daphne Kendall.
Yes.
Betsy Baglio.
Yes.
Beth Barron.
Yes.
Debbie Bronfeld.
Yes.
Jean Durbin.
Yes.
Mara Franceschi.
Yes.
Susan Cantor.
Yes.
Brian McDonald.
Yes.
Michelle Tuck-Ponder.
Yes.
Rob Christopher.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Bolden. President's welcome comments. Just thank you all for coming. I hope the school year has been off to a good start. We're going to move things around a little bit. Tonight we have the acceptance of a donation from the Riverside PTO. And Michelle, would you like to come up and tell us? Oh, and absolutely. Thank you for joining us this evening. Just so you know, if you ever want to come to a board meeting, we'll get you out quickly.
Thank you.
Yeah. So on the agenda for tonight is a resolution to accept a donation from the Riverside PTO in the amount of $38,852.18 to purchase playground equipment for the Riverside Elementary School. So if you want to tell us a little bit about it, and I believe Mr. Bolden has a picture he can put up.
Sure. Yes. Hi, I'm Michelle Baxter, and this is Joy, our PTO president, one of our PTO presidents. I was asked by our PTO to lead a program to help upgrade our playgrounds. Our Riverside playgrounds, if you haven't been over there, are probably the most sparse of all of the public elementaries. So we did some digging and learned that over the years, several of the other schools have had PTOs get involved and donate equipment in addition to what the district is required or the state requires in terms of minimum requirements, and that would be a inclusive playground structure, safe outdoor playground equipment. So this is a climber. This was the number one item that came up in a survey of the kids. They wanted a climber. This wouldn't be considered an inclusive ADA compliant piece of equipment. So we are hopeful that the district will work with us and please continue to upgrade and make the rest of our equipment safe and update it and add swings and the other kinds of things that the other schools have in our town. So that's it. This was a $38,000 donation that was monies that have been accrued over the years. We actually did a vote right before COVID 3 years ago to do this. And then when COVID hit, we paused. And so this is something that's just long overdue.
And this is the second piece of equipment, right? You
Yes. So we
another-
had,
Yep.
we started this whole sort of community campaign that we're trying to do this. And so one family came forward and we did vote to accept their donation. This will match that. And so it'll be the beginning of a better overall space for the kids.
Well, we really appreciate your efforts on behalf of the kids at Riverside. So thank you.
Thank you for your help. Anything you want to add?
And thank you for joining us tonight. The next thing tonight, we have F1, our student board reps, and we're going to introduce Oliver Huang and Alexander Margulis. And I don't know if you would like to say welcome to our board meetings. This one's going to be very long. We apologize. You should have come to the summer ones, but our last meeting over the summer was 21 minutes. It was a record. It was 21 minutes.
It will never happen.
Yeah, but anyway, you were chosen by your peers to represent them on the school board, and so welcome to our meetings, and we'd like to learn a little bit about you, please.
So my name is Oliver Huang. Okay, my name is Oliver Huang. I'm a senior at Princeton High School. Outside of board meetings, I'm on the school debate team, and I'm a Euro Challenge captain. I'm really excited to join the school board as a student board liaison to help give more input about the student view in our school district. I've been at Princeton Public Schools since I was in 5th grade. And one thing I really loved about being in this district is the opportunities to meet with people from all over the globe, whether it's like from all different continents, or all different cultures and all different backgrounds. And I hope to help Princeton continue to be a really thriving and inclusive community.
Boy, microphone. Hi, I'm Alex. I'm also a senior at PHS. I'm also on the debate team. I really enjoy being here at PHS and being involved in a lot of things that the school does. I'm an editor for the school newspaper, and I just really love, digging my hands into the school and figuring out what students are thinking. I moved here from Fayetteville, Arkansas in 8th grade, which was right before the pandemic for me, which is unfortunate timing, but I've really enjoyed a lot of the opportunities presented for Princeton Public School students, and I'm excited to, continue making it awesome.
Welcome you here, and we'll give you a chance when we get to our board reports for you to, if you have anything that you wanted to talk about tonight.
And I just want to echo the thanks and the welcome to both of you. We're really excited to work with you. Some of the biggest initiatives, for example, the later start time at the high school was originally a student board liaison idea. They brought to us basically insisting over the course. It was not just one pair. I think it was a few who said, this is really something students need. So we're listening. And there's sometimes we have to say we need more information. And there are sometimes that we can move on things more quickly, but the student voice is really critical to what we do, and we welcome your participation. Thank you.
All right. Moving on now to the superintendent's report.
I changed my mind. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. In advance of sharing my superintendent's report this evening, I wanted to take a moment just to acknowledge the Board of Education, our employees, our parents, and our students. The start of the school year takes a tremendous amount of planning and preparation. This community comes together like no other, and the start of our school year is a testament of that. Thank you all for your commitment to our students and to our schools. I would be remiss if I didn't also acknowledge that in the first few weeks of school, we encountered two unexpected situations with educational partners. Both matters are being worked through. While I don't have any new information to share at this time, I want the community to know that we remain committed to making decisions that are in the best interest of students. When and if any decisions are made, we will communicate timely updates with you. And at this time, I will begin my superintendent's report, which is chock full of exciting news. First, I would like to invite Principal Burge to come to the podium to introduce our recommended candidate for assistant principal of the high school.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. And do I need to do this? Okay. Before I start, I just want to say this afternoon was a great time. And we just checked in 1 second before the end of the game. We're winning. So I'm here with Lauren Friedman. Lauren really needs no introduction, but I'm super excited to reintroduce her to you and to the community. Lauren is a beloved and an outstanding math teacher at our school, and it's with tremendous pride and excitement that I recommend that she be approved to be the next assistant principal at PHS. So Mrs. Friedman is a Princetonian through and through. She began her educational career here, believe it or not, at kindergarten, then progressed into back then John Witherspoon, which is now Princeton Middle School, and then graduated at PHS in 2004. But before too long, she returned immediately and started working here as a math teacher here. And I had the honor for a couple of years to co-teach with her. And it was a tremendous amount of fun that we had together. And I still remember vividly that she has a way of teaching. And that's part of her magic of connecting with our kids, making them feel that math is fun, making personal connections with them, illustrating all kinds of examples. And so her whiteboard, or I should say our whiteboard, was always a masterpiece of some sorts. So it's like watching an artist, making masterpieces in real time. And then more than once, I always reminded students at the end of the class before the bell rang, say, hey, everybody, look at the whiteboard and take a picture. That's Mrs. Friedman's Picasso moment. So it was a lot of fun. So Lauren is not just a great teacher to our kids. She's also a mentor and inspiration for all of us. She was a champion for service learning. She's actually the one who introduced me and got me into service learning. She mentors new teachers and volunteers for countless number of committees. She really is an anchor in our building. Everybody in our learning community knows that if you have a problem, Lauren can always step up and be there and help you. Tonight is really not long enough for me to list all of her strength. I hope you're excited as I am because I believe she has earned all of our votes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I hope I get voted in. I'm very excited. Thanks.
Well, do you want to wait a minute and then
Oh, okay.
let's see what happens?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
So I do have more to my report, but I would love to ask the board if we.
Mr. Bolden. Can I get a motion, please, for the appointment of Lauren Friedman as assistant principal at Princeton High School? Jean first, Brian second. Yes.
Betsy Baglio.
Yes.
Beth Barron.
Yes.
Debbie Bronfeld.
Yes.
Jean Durbin.
Yes.
Mara Franceschi.
Yes.
Susan Cantor.
Yes.
Brian McDonald.
Yes.
Michelle Tuck Ponder.
Yes.
Rob Christopher.
Yes.
It is unanimous.
So congratulations.
Thank you guys so much.
That is great news. All right, I'm gonna, I just want to prepare everyone that I do have a lengthy report this month. I promise you next month will not be quite as lengthy. So This evening, I want to provide the Board of Education and community with a snapshot of the district's and school highlights during the month of September. I am also planning to highlight one of the key metrics I would like to report out to the Board of Education each month and share why that metric is extremely important. As you know, we've completed day number 15 of the 23-24 school year, but in these 3 short weeks, our students have been extremely busy. All right, first starting off with Princeton High School. Our PHS staff and administration did a brilliant job navigating a very successful school opening. And they have introduced improved security measures, such as students are now wearing lanyards with their temporary IDs. The administrators at Princeton High School has received acknowledgement from students regarding the newly revised student handbook. We have increased dialogue about academic integrity in the classrooms, and the newly created learning labs are supporting the smooth transition of freshmen, and the new sign main entrance is up so that parents and visitors are able to identify our entrance easily now. Club registrations at the high school are seeing a record high. Extracurricular activity is an important part of our PHS student life. According to data from PHS administrators, the number of clubs that are registered at the high school exceeds 100 this year. Old favorites returning are MSAN, Prince Yearbook, Speech and Debate, Dungeons and Dragons, Asian American Club, Spectacle Theater, Latinos Unidos. Did I say that correctly? Awesome. New clubs joining the high school are the Cactus Science Magazine, Surgery Club, Drawing Club, Pickleball, I don't know, and the Jam Club, and plenty in between that are becoming traditions at PHS, like the Jewish Club, PHS Climate Action, Math Team, 3D Printing Design, and more. I would like to stress to our parents who have children at the secondary level that all students, if their schedules allow, should find at least one club or athletic activity to join. This is such an essential way to feel a sense of belonging and community. And the district and our schools provide resources unlike any district I have ever come across. Additionally, I wanted to stress that the Hispanic Heritage Month Assembly at the high school is taking place on October 12th at the PAC. If any board members are able to attend, they will take place at 9:25 a.m. or 12:52 p.m. Again, that's October 12th at the PAC. Each assembly program at the high school for Hispanic Heritage Month is 40 minutes long, and obviously board members as well as Valley Road are invited to attend. This afternoon, I and a few other board members I saw at the high school had a Free Evan and Stand with Evan, Bring Evan Home campaign. So Evan, as you know, is a PHS alum and also a reporter for the Wall Street Journal, where he covers Russia, Ukraine, and the former Soviet Union. In March 2023, he was accused of espionage, making him the first American journalist detained in Russia on such charges since the Cold War. And the Journal vehemently denies the allegations, and President Biden and news organizations around the world have joined the Journal in calling for his immediate release. The high school has been trying to bring awareness to his situation in hopes of his return. They have started a letter writing campaign where students can drop letters off at the high school main office, and students also brought those letters to today's soccer game against Notre Dame, which we just heard that we are currently winning. So is it over? Okay. Yes. So other athletic news at the high school, our boys soccer team and girls soccer team are both undefeated as of today. Hopefully they're still undefeated. Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay. The volleyball team is 9-0. They are currently number 11 in the state. And congratulations to our girls tennis team at the high school. Maya Alexandra Todoro and Ashna Bushan finished first in Mercer County tournament, and Scarlett Kay and Sophia Brune finished second doubles. So going on to the middle school, look at that beautiful piece of art. Our students and staff arrived at the middle school in September to the PMS cafeteria and were welcomed by this mural painted by a former middle school student, Marlon Davella. This mural purposely created a way to unify the diverse PMS community through our Find Your Streak theme. A group of tigers is called a streak, and they encourage every student at PMS to find at least one activity, club, or sport that engages them and connects them with their streak. At Community Park School, they welcomed one of the district's 2 new pre-K classrooms in September. The district is now up to 5 preschool classrooms, up from 3 last school year. The teachers and the instructional assistants are teaching Spanish, this Spanish immersion program of 15 4-year-olds. And the second new pre-K classroom is at the Cub School, which is housed with one of our private partners. And they are offering a traditional preschool class to 15 4-year-olds. Another highlight of CP was the ribbon cutting ceremony held in honor of the newly completed CP mural, the culmination of a year-long effort by CP 5th grade class of 2023 as a parting gift to the school and community to design and complete the large mural that overlooks the CP playground. A special shout out to our CP media specialist, Bevan Jones, who spearheaded the effort of this project. At Johnson Park School, they held 2 school-wide assemblies to begin the school year, setting the tone with behavior expectations and how students will operate together aligned to the JP Pledge. At the second assembly, JP officially took the buddy bench out of retirement. Now, if students are seeking a friend to play with during recess, all they have to do is sit on the bench, and other students will know what to do when they see someone sitting on it. That is, go up and ask them if they would like to play. There are 2 benches in the school's large playground area, one in the pre-K playground and one in the kindergarten playground. The school is also planning to purchase 2 more benches for the green top and black top play areas. This month at JP, as well as all of our elementary schools, they are beginning to host our first sessions with the Reading with Tigers program, who are student athletes from Princeton University. This month, they visited JP's 1st and 3rd grade classrooms. At Littlebrook School, in keeping with the district's SY24 theme of community and belonging, Littlebrook held its traditional egg drop event in September, where Littlebrook's 5th graders build vessels that are meant to keep an egg from breaking when dropped from a height of 45 feet and 90 feet. One of our community partners, the fire department, came out to test the students' design, and parents, as well as several grade levels, came out to watch this community event. Riverside had a great first few weeks of the school year. Our new principal, Mr. Atchu, has been visiting classrooms to get to know students better. Mr. Atchu has read to grades 2 and 3 and conducted question and answer sessions with grade 4. He hopes to visit all remaining homerooms in the next few weeks. And students have also had the opportunity to try out the new rock wall in Mrs. Unkert's physical education classes. This amazing rock wall is an exciting new addition to the gym, thanks to a generous grant from the Princeton Education Foundation. Now for part 2 and the final part of my September report. The metric that I will be reporting out to the board this school year is on chronic absenteeism. And the reason for this is that, again, one of the ways that we can increase student achievement that really is at no incremental cost to the district is just having students sit in front of our teachers on a daily basis. So helping all of our students succeed in school really does begin with the habit of good attendance at an early age. And I'm not sure if you could see this flyer that's produced by Attendance Work. I wanted to just say one of our goals from the strategic plan is we're focusing at the early age 3 to grade 3, that we are going to provide early interventions. And one of the ways that we can provide interventions is, especially in the area of reading, is student attendance. So you could see when students have great attendance in kindergarten and first grade, meaning that they miss fewer than 9 days in both years, they are likely at 64% reading at grade level after third grade. But students who have had chronic absenteeism in both kindergarten or first grade is only reading 41% of those students are reading at grade level after grade 3. And then students who have been chronically absent in both kindergarten and first grade are only 17% of those students are reading at grade level after third grade. The data is nationally 1 in 10 students in kindergarten and first grade are chronically absent from school. And chronically absenteeism is identified or defined by missing at least 10% or more school days. So in an average month, when we have 20 instructional days, if you miss more than 2 days that month, you're considered chronically absent from school. So that is one of the metrics that I will be reporting out to the board. I will say at our elementary schools, this data does represent what we are seeing. 1 out of 10 students in each of our elementary schools from last year's data has been absent, chronically absent from school. We currently do not have data specifically for our students who are considered homeless or transient, but we do see that 2 in 10 of our students that are classified as economically disadvantaged are chronically absent. So it will be an important metric for us to provide to the board. Again, for everyone, why is this important? Positive attendance matters for student success. We see that students that are not chronically absent have higher academic achievement. As I stated before, for our youngest students, they're more likely to read proficiently by grade 3. We see that for our high school age students, it is a great indicator for students graduating on time and being less likely to drop out from school. And it's also a great indicator for our younger students to determine whether or not students will be college ready. And then finally, it really helps students build their social emotional capabilities and abilities to build relationships. We are providing to our families some strategies at both the elementary school level and middle and high school level. We will be providing these strategies in both English and Spanish by way of flyers and also posting them on our website. So that concludes my report for this evening. I'm sorry for the lengthy report, but there's a lot of great things happening in our schools that I wanted to share.
That's a lot of great things. Thank you for sharing.
Mhm.
So then we have we have other things slotted in your spot. So we will just move on to the November 7th, 2023 referendum presentation.
Yes.
Mr. Bolden, are you leading that?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you. So I thought I'd go through, instead of redoing the presentation that we did last time, I thought I'd show everyone the really great website we have to inform our community members about the referendum. So this is our homepage. If you scroll right down here, you see the tab 2023 referendum. So when you click on there, it takes you through. You got to click through once more. We're integrating Spanish information on the website. It discusses, talks about November 7th, the referendum. It is just under a $13 million dollar referendum. There's a lot of information on here, the highlights of the areas that we're going to target. I am going to go through some of the details here. I missed the spot here. To click more info on the proposed improvements. So when you click through, you see each of our lovely mascots, wonderful mascots, Community Park, security camera upgrades, protective window film. That's at all 4 elementary schools. Technology upgrades, we're looking to upgrade our network infrastructure to 10 gigs from a current 1 gig. So that is will be a huge improvement. At CP, we're looking at playground improvements as the other 3 elementaries and also the middle school. But CP and Littlebrook, we're working on some of the drainage issues at those schools. Actually, there's some great pictures of some of the drainage problems here. It's a little small, but the kindergarten playground area floods, so we're working on improving that. We're also working on some other minor improvements, building climate controls. We've still been continuing to improve on that, so we have full control over all our HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning equipment throughout the district. The difference at Johnson Park, we are looking to add cell phone boosters. So anyone that lives in that area of town knows there's poor service out there. So that'll be a big help. Also at the middle school, we're looking to do that as well. When you go to the high school and the middle school, we're continuing to work on a plan. We've been working with the police, did a review last June, and we're updating security issues with regards to what they recommended to us. Updated doors and locks throughout the high school and middle school. Also more security and camera upgrades, 2 secure vestibules at the front of the high school entrance and the PAC entrance. We're also are going to do some minor updates at the pool, some minor upgrades to ductwork. And at the high school, very big proposal is to upgrade the cafeteria, offering hopefully double the amount of seating, improving the kitchen. We're going to take out that wall that exists there and make a more open cafeteria lines to hopefully, we're not unique in high schools across the country, really trying to serve all students in one lunch period. You gentlemen can attest to that. Very difficult to try to serve as many people. So that's really going to be helpful. We're going to hopefully double the seating. We're going to upgrade the equipment. We're going to install a dishwasher so we can get rid of single-use plastic. We don't feel that's sustainable in 2023. There's a spot there to the right. There used to be a dishwasher there many years ago. So that's really exciting. We'll also be the main athletic field, which it sounds like the soccer team won today. Were they playing at the high school field today? We're going to resurface that and upgrade the track resurfacing. So also some minor updates at the high school with the Echo Lab. Though there's tons of information on this website. It talks about the estimated state aid, which is based on we're financing these we would be financing these proposed improvements over 13 years to meet the estimated useful life of the improvements. We wouldn't want to pay for something that lasts 10 years over 20 years. So we're may get up to $5 million back. That's basically on the debt service. So all the principal and interest that we pay, the state's going to give us 31.28%. And I think there was something else I was supposed to talk about, Brian. What did I forget? We talked about it today, too. Oh, the average taxpayer. Thank you. The estimated bill for this on an annual basis would be $104 if you were at the average assessed valuation of just under $850,000 on your home. But I really this is a really well done website with tons of information. We've been handing out cards at all the back to school nights, talking to PTOs. And so we're happy to have all the community find out about all these wonderful proposed improvements.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Bolden. I just would like to add that, like the cell phone improvements, that's a safety improvement, right? We do want our teachers to have more connectivity, but it's for the safety of students. And really all the proposed changes have to do with mostly safety and security.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, but thank you for that. And I know Oliver and I'm sorry.
Alex.
Do you go by Alex or Alexander? Alex, you'll appreciate the Wi-Fi because I know the streaming Netflix right now is really slow at the high school, right? And so, yeah, so we hear about that. We want to make your experience better. All right.
All right, so
Thank you,
there are
Mr. Bolden.
just two additional items under the superintendent's report. As the board knows, NJ CUSAC, which it is an abbreviation for New Jersey's Quality Single Accountability Continuum, is something that the Department of Education on an annual basis uses to monitor school districts. So annually we do a self-evaluation, and we submit to the board a statement of assurance. And then every 3 years, in addition, the Department of Ed will send out individuals to do a deeper dive into the monitoring. This was our year for that. And on the agenda are just the results, which you can see we passed, so that's good. And you see the placement of our scoring. Any questions?
Can I just, go ahead.
Thanks. I was just going to say, not only did we pass, we're designated as a high performing district.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. I just have to put a claim out there. So the 88%, I just have to do this because I'm like the top, teacher's pet here. The parts that we could control, we got 100 in. The parts that we can't control, we did not get 100 in. And so when I mean can't control, it's sort of, we do somewhat have some control: attendance, graduation, and test scores. So remember the COVID scores were included in that number. So there's two sections. So the part that we got 40 out of 40 on was our actual curriculum. So I want to make sure everyone knows that we are aligned with the state curriculum and we are okay in that area. So thank you.
You're welcome.
I just want to say I was able to be part of this process, and I just want to commend Dr. Kelly and the administrative team. This is a great deal of work for school districts to complete every 3 years. It does force us to look at what we do in many ways, a very good way, but it takes a lot of work to do it. So congratulations on passing highly, but also just getting all of that done. And then we do this again in 3 years, right?
Yep.
And I just wanted to thank Dr. Kelly and Dr. Tu and all the staff that participated in it. It was it's a lot of work, and maybe the state could just realize that we're one of the top performing districts in the country and give us a waiver. But because when they're spending time prepping for this report, for this audit, they're not spending their time on other things. I also want to thank Betsy, who as a former teacher, represents the board very well in all our academic issues. So thank you to everyone.
Thank
And
you.
Matt, you were involved too. And Rebecca. Thank you. And Rebecca.
I have a question. Why did we get an A- in governance?
Well,
It was one item,
it was
Yeah,
one
it's one
item.
item.
7 point out of 100 items.
Wasn't it more of a formality, right? It
Yes.
had to do.
We didn't submit something on
Right.
time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So we're
which
going to
was in
talk to Matt
process.
about that. It wasn't actually Matt's
No, it
fault.
wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
It was
Thank
my
you.
fault.
Come on, guys, we got to do better.
It's okay. I'll take the blame.
We have,
think
we
it
have
was your
some
fault.
overachievers.
It's an
I
A
see.
minus. It's an A minus. It's an A minus.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to ask Dr. Tu a huge favor because my board docs is not. So the PHS matriculation report was provided to members of our student achievement committee. I thought it was a really well done report and asked if she wouldn't mind including it on the board meeting, but my board docs is not working.
So I'll just briefly go through this. So this was presented to our Student Achievement Committee this month. This is really the brainchild of Naperna Shaw, who's our college and career counselor who does amazing things, and our new supervisor of counseling and wellness, John McMichael. So each year, our district has to report out to the board and the community our graduation report. So in that includes how many students graduated, where they're going after they leave us and sort of the breakdown of the numbers. So here's just a nice infographic, and this is embedded in the board doc, so anyone can access this presentation as well. And that you can see, where they're going after they leave us. And we have not only 30 states represented, but 8 countries. So we have a lot of international students across the board. And we have 93% of our graduates attending a 2-year or a 4-year college or university. Also, something that was noted in the presentation for SAC is that we had acceptance at every Ivy this year. We didn't get to go to every Ivy, but we did have acceptance at every Ivy. Students had that opportunity. Here are our most frequently attended colleges. Obviously, we have a lot of stuff in state, Rutgers, Mercer County, Princeton, GCNJ. We had a lot of students. We had a cluster at San Diego State this year. So listen, smart kids, exactly. I would agree. So, you find a cluster, you find a major you like, and kids apply. So it's really good. University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, University of Miami, also an interesting choice selection. So these are our top schools. And then here you have student attendance by state, a lot in the Northeast, and then kind of going down until you get to the Western states. I'm going to go through this really quickly. So here's where country-wise was. We have some students going to Greece, United Kingdom, Spain, Italy, a lot of Europe, a couple in Canada, and then 323 in the United States. And the majority of our students went to a 4-year private school, then a 4-year public school, then 2-year public, 2-year private, and then you have your international students. And then this goes down to like a breakdown of every state, the colleges that students are going to by state. So I'm just going to kind of try not to give everybody whiplash, but scroll through.
Dr. Tu, will we put this on the website?
Yeah, so this is on the board docs, but I can ask that it be put on the website as well. And then in a side note that is not in this report, the board also got a report of the amount of graduates, how many 5-year graduates we had that were IUP related, and then students who are not represented in this report, military, taking a gap year, things along those lines as well. So this is focusing on the college, but we do have students who go right into career or into the military.
Can I ask that next year, that 7% that we have that don't attend college?
Yeah.
I mean, this is great. This is wonderful. We have a 12-page report on the kids that did go to college. I would love to see more specificity around our students who go into careers or go into vocational schools or go into the military, because we ought to be tracking how they're doing as well. Again, this is wonderful, but I'd like to see where everybody's going. So
we also talked a few years ago about the software that we had, and I think it was Naviance at the time, that potentially allowed you to see whether the kids actually graduate from college. And so I think any information we can get on how successful they are, how many years it takes them to complete, would be actually very helpful.
Can I ask though, how does that work if you transfer? I had a kid that transferred. Yeah.
How does it work once students leave us and they transfer?
No. Say they're at BU and they decide to go to Georgetown. Do you show them?
Or they go to Georgetown, get into Georgetown, but they go to Stanford.
No, so I'm just asking, going along with what you're saying, if kids transfer, can you still capture?
It's hard because
Yeah.
they have to notify us.
Oh, okay,
That's-
okay.
That's part of the issue. So if they keep up with us and like you said, like Naviance or SCORE or the alumni network, and we know that's helpful, but that's one of the hardest parts of being a school. Like we don't capture them after they leave, unfortunately.
Got it.
Some districts, do we do the schoolhouse, the clearinghouse data?
Yes, we could do that. Yeah.
I think part of why this worked is that it was mandatory for a graduation requirement. You had to fill this survey out as a senior. So I'm in favor of that, so we can get a feel for where everybody's going. So after that, I doubt we're going to get great results. But for our graduating seniors, what do you think? Mandatory?
Yeah. 2 seconds. And no seniors were denied graduation. I also want to point that out.
Oh, sorry about that. I meant that as a good thing, not as a, yeah. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Kelly, Dr. Tu, Matt. And we'll move on now to our first public comment. This is public comment on agenda items and non-agenda items. I have 3 people who signed up to speak, so we'll go with them first. If you could please just state your name, the street you live on, the town you live in, and if you could please keep your comments to 3 minutes, we'd appreciate it. And so up first is Jacqueline Fasaro.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jacqueline Fusaro. I live on Springdale Road. I wanted to talk a little bit about the math program at the Princeton Public Schools. In New Jersey, in the state, what the students do in middle school is they take 3 years of middle school mathematics. Here at Princeton, we're condensing that because we have this wonderful goal of having everyone take Algebra 1 in 8th grade. The problem is we have not created a curriculum that sets up our students for success. When Eric Milieu analyzed the curriculum, he said that our 6th grade needed a complete review of his SOAP and sequence and is not written as a coherent set. What's happening right now is that in 6th grade, our math courses are covering the 6th and 7th grade New Jersey state standards. And then again in 7th grade, they go back and cover mostly the 7th grade standards for the students who are taking the Algebra 1 Part 1. And so basically they are repeating the curriculum that they took in the 6th grade. For the students who go on to take 3 years of middle school mathematics, what happens is they take basically the same math in 6th and 7th grades, and before the 8th grade, which is their Algebra 1 year, they have not studied important algebraic concepts they need for their algebra class, such as functions, integer exponents, square roots, and how to solve simultaneous linear equations. And so as a result of that, what we are seeing is that the students who are on the lower track, the ones who take 3 years of mathematics with the 3rd year being Algebra 1, those students only have a 28% proficiency rate in terms of their achievement on the New Jersey state standard tests. Of our economically disadvantaged students, we have only 10% of students who are achieving proficiency. So what we need to consider, because I've actually gone through and I've put up a document that lists all of the Khan Academy links to the curriculum that we're missing. So I can put that on Facebook, and that's going to reach most of the parents. And most of the parents can get their children together and encourage their children to work together in groups. But the problem is there was a girl who graduated from college, and she went back to talk to her dad after that. And she said to him, when I was little, you were always so obsessed with me learning spelling. Every day I'd come home from school and you drill me on the spelling list. And then I'd say to you, well, I need help with science homework or English homework. And you'd say, oh, later. And they never got around to it. Why were you so obsessed with spelling, Dad? And the dad looked at her and he said, honey, I grew up in Guatemala. I didn't have the chance to go to school. When your spelling list came home, I had all the answers right there in my hand. So I was able to help you with spelling. And I knew if I did that for you, you'd get yourself through on everything else. So if we put the curriculum up, which I will do on Facebook, that's going to reach a lot of the families. But in terms of the families that really need help, that's not going to reach that. Oh, sorry, just 1 second left. Sorry. In terms of the family who really need help, that's where all of you come in. We can do 2 things. One, which would be very, very difficult, is to revise the curriculum this year. We have a new math chair, and I know Stephanie Tidwell told you she fixed everything, so I understand why it hasn't happened yet after the Milieu report came out. But the other thing we can do immediately is we used to have a program where the teachers were paid to supervise during the pause period. The students can be put in groups and told to work collaboratively through the curriculum that is not being covered in the 6th and 7th grade math classes. And I think a lot of those middle school teachers have worked very, very hard without compensation to try and make up for the struggles we've had in terms of leadership in the last few years in mathematics. So it would be very, very nice if we compensated them for their time, because they've been doing this unpaid for the last few years. Thank you. Sorry, I ran over time.
Sure. Jacqueline, thank you. If I remember correctly, you were a teacher. Yes. Yep. So thank you for coming tonight. And I just wanted to say, and then I'll turn it over to Dr. Chu. So we've made some changes at the middle school, which Dr. Chu will talk about. But as you're probably aware, we have a math review underway, and that will be discussed at the November board meeting. So some of your concerns will be addressed there. But Dr. Chu, I don't know if you wanted to add anything?
Yeah, so thank you. And part of the review is doing a deep dive with the curriculum and the standards and how the standards are aligned in 6th, in 7th, and in 8th grade, and recommendations of how to better align them and address gaps. So thank you. I know you have a passion for this, and I know you have knowledge in this, so I appreciate you bringing this up and talking about how to support kids who don't have that support at home. When it comes to support currently at the middle school, we do have a new structure this year called Math Lab. So instead of one of the EPs, the exploratory courses, students who have been identified through a variety of multiple measures do meet with their math teacher twice more a week during that block to get that extra support that you're talking about, because we felt that that was so much needed. And so we're meeting about 30 to 40 kids per grade level, depending, and it's semester based, so that we hope that when they get that support, they can exit out, or kids can enter in who might be moving in or who might be currently struggling. And so far, knock on wood, the teachers have been very pleased with the progress of it, and we're hearing really good feedback. And we're working with like a not a Khan Academy, but sort of an online program that's going to be coming on that's personalized to that student. So when they're working with a small group, a teacher, they can say, I think there's at most 10 kids in the class. They can say, okay, you 5 work on your individual pathway. I'm going to work with you 5, and then swap, so that they're really getting targeted support. So we appreciate you advocating for those students, and more to come in November.
Thank you, Dr. Tu. And thanks, Jackie. So our next up is Jennifer Suttner.
Okay, good evening, members of the board. I'm Jennifer Suttmeyer, 14 Scottsdale Cranberry. First, I want to extend my gratitude for everything you do, your volunteer to the schools. I want to address 2 issues that are of concern to me. First, I want to talk about the referendum. Prior to this meeting, I thoroughly reviewed the informative website that we went through, and I loved it. It looks really great. And I do, though, however, believe that a complete picture of the referendum remains somewhat unclear. When I looked at the pie charts on the website, there's substantial allocations to funds in different categories. But then when you go into the detailed projects, it's hard to follow what aligns with all the money. So when I start looking at it as an analytical person, for example, I see $3 million towards health and wellness. And then when I look at the individual projects, I see the only health and wellness thing is like a cafeteria renovation. So I'm wondering then, are we spending $3 million on a cafeteria renovation? I know that can't be true. I know there must be some sort of detailed Excel spreadsheet out there that helped you guys get to the 13 million. And so I would ask if we could see that, because I have a lot of friends in Princeton who are also, analytical like myself. And, people want to know what's going into this. A huge pie chart with millions of dollars is just not enough detail for people, I think, who are going to be voting. Secondly, I wanted to talk a little bit about transparency in the board meetings, because I've had a personal interest in attending your meetings since the rankings came out recently that our schools went down in our national rankings with U.S. News and World Report. And on August 31st, I tried to attend your meeting. I was super excited to go, and the link was broken. I couldn't come onto your meeting. This is not an isolated incident either, because I've tried to attend some of your other open committee meetings, and there's no link listed on your website to attend. And, I've asked, I think I've connected with some people of the administration. They're super nice and helpful. But then when every time I make a request for a link, I get sent a private Outlook meeting. And that to me doesn't seem very open. It seems like I'm asking to be invited to a meeting that's supposed to be open to the public. So what I would just ask for all of you guys is if you could give direction to put all meetings 48 hours in advance on the website, have a link for all those virtual meetings, because I want to know what's going on. And it's very difficult for me to do that when I can't join. So again, I appreciate your dedication to the schools, but I do hope you'll listen to this feedback and take my suggestions under consideration. Thanks.
Thanks. Next up is Charles Hugh. Thank you.
My questions surrounding the referendum as well. Specifically, I find that the websites to be graphically pleasing, but from an information standpoint, as compared to the 2022 referendum and the 2018 referendum, I think we're missing a lot of detail. And by detail, I mean, is there a budget detail that can be shown to the community of how you have built up, or how we are to navigate in breaking down these very generic categories such as safety, wellness, sustainability, maintenance, tech upgrades, that are kind of assigned with millions of dollars without knowing what those numbers represent, right? I agree with the previous comments about just getting some level of transparency, even of how they're distributed across each types of projects, right? And how they're allocated to each of the schools. I think it's clear, at least from the 2022 referendum budget, how it's broken out. That shows us a bit more level of detail. So that's one aspect. I also would be interested in finding out what the soft costs versus the construction costs in the referendum means, and what's kind of built in terms of contingencies, and if there's lessons learned from the 2022-2018 projects that could be incorporated into it. The last update we got from the 2022 budget was dated November of 2022. Just like to see how we're doing, how we're tracking in spending the what was it, 17.5 million that you have approved back in, I believe, January of 22. And then the third question has to do with how, on the website it states that these projects were determined by soliciting, comments or getting alignment from members of the community. I'd like to understand how that communication was kind of, disseminated to the community, and if parents, students, teachers, administration are part of that decision-making process. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shu. Did you want to add something, Susan, please? Thank you.
I'll just speak to maybe the last comment about the community, because I was thinking when we welcomed our board members that several of the projects were brought up by last year's student board members in terms of connectivity, in terms of the cafeteria at the high school. Another place where we solicited was from our review with our police department. And some of those we don't want to speak to specifically because of safety concerns, but all of them were worked with our administration, with our police department, and our recommendations where the projects in those are based on those recommendations.
Yeah, I'll add also the unions brought there, especially with regard to the connectivity issues at Johnson Park and the concern for safety. So we don't have to solicit it. They let us know.
So I would add to that. Also, our operations meetings are all open to the public. So we do, as you said, we have to make sure that the meeting is posted, and we do have people come each month to those meetings. But the process of putting together a referendum is like a year-long process that is worked upon by both the administration with students, teachers, and things that board reps and parents bring up. And many of those things were discussed at our meetings over the last year.
I would actually add that some of them came up in 2018 and we couldn't fully address them because of, issues with, overruns and whatnot. So it's a very years-long process, many years.
I'm not sure if Matt wants to speak to the way we put out the numbers, because everything is done on a bid basis. So by identifying a pure cost, we are putting things out for bid, and you're kind of then setting the price rather than let the bid come in. So maybe
Yeah,
Matt, you could
I'll
speak
speak
to
to
that.
that because it is, obviously two commenters here, and I think we've answered that same question now 3 other times. So it is a little bit of a departure from the past where we were overly transparent and sort of telegraphing, so we're obligated to have public bids, right? So it's lowest responsible bidder. So when we telegraph too much, we found that, especially if the projects, and they're not always that well bid, it depends, that, and I don't want, I'm not trying to be trite or obfuscate at all, but we're trying to be a little more general with the dollars. And I think we could fine tune a little bit the categories, but we're trying not to telegraph bidders to know where we're estimating. So also exacerbating that is the inflation that we've had the last 18 months. So we've built in some strong contingencies to our estimates. There's a lot of fluctuations in the market. Inflation seems to have cooled off. And we're actually taking in, hopefully, our last bids from the 2022 referendum tomorrow. So we are a little very slightly ahead of schedule on the budget, but not a lot, about $400,000 on the 2022 referendum. So we are being particularly, we're being deliberate, I should say, in not providing as much information as the last 2 referendums as far as line items because of the difficulty with public bidding.
Mr. Bolden, and also the contingencies, what is that, 11, 12%? And that's pretty consistent. Well, we're not going to say, sorry. Whoops.
Well, we are required by law to have a certain level
Yes.
of contingencies.
Sorry.
When we submit to the state. So
That's why I'm not on the communications committee. Or, yeah. But there's a
thank you for the thoughtful questions, both of you, regarding the referendum.
And just to point out that the committee also, and we've been working on these things for 18 months, and it was really we really pushed to do this smaller referendum because we said, we've been asked in the past by the community to bring projects when we need them. And so we said, there's a vote. Why not throw a question on there? We don't pay any extra to have the question put in, and it's work that needs to be done. And if we do it through a referendum, we get this extra money back from the state that we all pay in taxes. So we have been working on this for a long time, driving it as a committee, and we do see some of the numbers in committee in closed session. So we're looking at it, and it's not like we're just guesstimating or being rough about things. So we do see them. We're elected to do that. And, to the extent we can share those numbers, we do. But we have been working on this quite a long time, and we do welcome people to come to our committees. And operations is particularly delightful. We go on at least 2.5 hours every month, and we get into some really nitty-gritty things that we enjoy, but not everyone else does.
I guess I could, one final thing, the playgrounds are included in that wellness and sustainability category, to specifically answer one of your questions.
And I would say by law, we're not allowed to spend any more money than the referendum is approved for by the taxpayer. So it's if we cannot say, oh, we asked for 13 and we need to spend 17. We can't do that. We can only spend 13.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys clarifying some of those issues. And so, Dr. Chu, have we not had a board meeting since the U.S. News and World Report? We have.
Part of the project, there was an issue with some logging in. So Matt,
Oh.
do you mind if I project my screen real quick? I just want to display something real quick. There we go. So this is from the U.S. News and Report website. So I just want to picture this. Make this a little bit bigger for you guys, because we did get a couple of questions from media about this. So there were some conversations. Oh, sorry. Thank you, Matt. There's been some conversations about how our rankings were higher in the early 2010s compared to now, and that our district really dropped. There's a different methodology that has been included, and they incorporated hundreds of more school districts across the country, and that's why it's different. So you can just type in on Google U.S. World News and Report, U.S. World News and Report FAQs. This pops up, and then if you go to question 4, how comparable? So it says that the most recent 4-year ranking editions increased the number of ranked schools more than 6-fold compared with previous editions and assessed schools using far more comprehensive criteria. It has published annual editions of best high school rankings between 2007 and 9 and 2012 and 2023. However, because we completely revamped its methodology in 2019, rankings from earlier editions are not comparable to those from 2019, 2020, 21, 22, and 23, 24. And they will no longer provide the rankings of schools based on those prior editions. So I know that is a very big deal. We are a top public high school in the state of New Jersey. We'll get a little badge for our website because of that, which is great to hear. But I do want to provide the context of the conversation about drop-in rankings because I think that is important to have that
And Dr.
conversation.
Chu, a lot of those new schools are not open admission schools. Is that
No,
correct?
that is correct.
Right.
Yeah. So if you look at the top schools in New Jersey, a lot of them are magnets or charters.
Which have admission requirements.
Which have admission requirements.
Do we have admission requirements?
No, we are a public
No,
school.
we're a public school.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I like that setup. Thank you.
I appreciate it. All right. Thank you, Dr. Tu. All right. Is there anyone else for public comment right now? No. Okay. We're moving on to, where are we here? Oh, did you want to say something? You didn't raise your hand. Oh, okay. Sorry, Debbie.
Yes. Thank you. I initially did not watch the video about high tops. I know the community high top supports, and I didn't want to watch a gay bashing video. The community high top supports is very personal to me. My oldest son, Harrison, who graduated from PHS, came out in college. Luckily, he has loving and supportive parents and a brother who were there and will always be there for him forever. So you see, this is very personal to me. We are very fortunate to live in the Northeast and to have family and friends that also love and support Harrison. He works and lives in New York City where he can be openly gay. We all know this is not true in most of our country. So again, I share that this is very personal to me. When I watched the video, I was taken back at the business tactics that High Top spoke about. Picking a certain class to present in and not letting parents opt out. To me, it was deceitful and made me realize this is not a vendor I want to do business with. And I certainly do not want them presenting to any of our students. I view these business practices and lack of follow-up and support to PPS as a company that did not put their client, our students, first. Lastly, I want to share that anytime I've spoken about this with PPS staff, my top concern is that we, administrators, staff, principals, and the board must always make sure that all our students know we are here and that we support them 100% in who they are. Again, this was very personal to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. All right. Moving on now to the rest of the agenda. Item I, harassment, intimidation, and bullying. J, board committee reports. And if we could start with our student board reps, if you have something to report today. No. Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't want to leave you out, but you'll have a slot at every meeting to share your thoughts and concerns. So first up is long-term planning with co-chairs Beth Barron and Brian McDonald.
Thank you, Daphna. And Brian, jump in if I leave anything out. Our committee has been focused on the facilities needs due to rising enrollment and changing demographics and the addition of more than 1,100 housing units that are expected to be completed in the next 1 to 5 years. We've been working on this work, as everyone knows, over the last several years. And most recently, we restarted a planning process that began really in 2020. And this past spring, we had, community meetings. We did some surveys. We did a lot of work to get input. And then over the summer, we kind of went quiet and everyone's waiting kind of for what's next. And over the summer, we had our professionals, our architects, our planners, our busing people. Everybody's been really drilling down on the different models that we presented in the spring. And so we want to kind of give an update of where we're at now because we're ready to move forward and present some information. At our most recent committee meeting, we went over a big matrix of all of this data, and we decided that the committee and the superintendent and administration would make a joint recommendation to the board on October 17th so that we can instruct the administration, planners, and architects on what models to pursue. And I want to say that we're not at a point where we have specific designs or anything like that, but we have to make a choice, a fork in the road, so that we can continue to move forward with the planning. So we're at this conceptual place where we have to decide which model we go with at the elementary level. We're focusing on the elementary and the middle schools. And so to do this, in order to make the time frame to have this happen as quickly as possible, and that means at this point getting children in the seats by 2027, right? We need to have, as a board, direction by mid-October of this year, or we would take longer with the process. We've tried to take as long as we can. And then our professionals are going to go off again and really work on specific plans that they can then come back to the board for approval. So we're not doing any major decisions. We're just saying, okay, we're going to go this direction or not. But before that, we're taking this recommendation that we kind of came up with, and we've been kind of moving it. We're going to move it through a series of meetings so that we get input and feedback as much as we can. And that started, I think, today with Dr. Kelly presenting to her senior administrative team. The full admin team working through and showing them the matrix that we've developed that shows the different models and the pros and cons of each and where we think that points us. And we want to get feedback from what people think. And next, we're going to be presenting to teachers and staff on October 2nd. And then we will be talking to our PTOC council, the PTO leaders of our schools. And then on Wednesday, October 11th, and each time we do this, we're taking comments, we're thinking, we also presented to our board colleagues and got some very good, helpful comments from them. How do we present this data in a way that's most easy to process so people understand all the thinking, they can see the different data that's gone into it and where we're going. And we are working towards an October 11th, a Wednesday, October 11th presentation to the public at 7 p.m. via Zoom webinar with an opportunity for public comment. And then we will, again, on Saturday, October 14th, prior to the Fall Fest at the middle school in their auditorium at 9 a.m., we'll have another presentation and have some time for comment with questions. We want to try to socialize this as much as possible with the public. And we're going now beyond the parents. We're inviting the full community because we want to make sure people see what we're up to. And then on the 17th, the board will vote on the next steps for the elementary school and middle school. And again, this is just an option, not anything really specific yet, no specific plans. So that's an outline of where we're going. And I just wanted to lay that out for us tonight. And did I miss anything, Brian?
I would just note that you mentioned several things on the matrix in terms of the comparisons. Two that I would reinforce are the costs, the capital costs of each of the options and the operating costs associated with each of the options, because we do want to be very responsible with taxpayer dollars and make sure that our decisions are prudent financially as well as in the best interests of our children educationally.
Right.
And lastly, there will be many opportunities after October for there to be reports on how the process is proceeding. So it will be open and transparent. There will be plenty of opportunities for community input.
All right, thank you. Moving on to operations with co-chairs Susan Cantor and Brian McDonald. I'm sorry, we were not going to get out at 9 o'clock tonight. Sorry.
So I'm going to do it this month in a change. Susan usually does it, but she has missed her first operations committee meeting. We're grateful that Jean Durbin could sit in on behalf of Susan. Susan is usually brief and succinct. I'm not sure I'll be either.
3 minutes.
But I'll see what I can do.
You'll be begging for me next month.
So we met for more than 2 hours, and as typical, we started with an update on what's going on with the 2022 referendum. Mostly good news. The slate roofs have been completed on time, on budget, and they look great and should last for a very long time. The fascia and siding projects at Littlebrook and Riverside are nearing completion or may even have been completed in the last week. JP had not started. This is a contractor that has posed some challenges in terms of turnarounds, but that will hopefully commence soon. The skylights at JP remain on back order, and that's an important part of that project. And lastly, as Matt noted, Tomorrow midday or in the afternoon, we expect to open bids for
1:30.
What time?
1:30.
1:30 in the afternoon. Very exciting if anybody wants to be there. Just talk to Matt. But we'll open the roofing and HVAC bids associated with the 2022 referendum. We got our usual update from Jenny Ludmer from Sustainable Princeton on our efforts with respect to sustainability. I think an important thing to note again is that we're analyzing energy usage in every building. And it's getting to the point where we are feeling good about the measurements, and the board requested that the data that is now available be shared with school principals, and that consideration be given to friendly competition to see who can lower or reduce their energy consumption the most. One of the big challenges mentioned is changing behaviors, and that's something that we're going to start to focus on. 3 schools received bronze level certifications, which we're very happy about. And Matt reported that Sustainable Princeton's contract was extended through June 30th of 2024 with a 3% increase. And Dr. Kelly expressed her thought that the value Sustainable Princeton has brought to the district is very high. Dave Harding, our Director of Facilities, talked about the summer 2023 maintenance projects. It was an extensive presentation from Dave, and we requested that it be put in a written form so that we could share it fully with the board and also communicate to our PTOs just how much work gets done over each summer, ranging from the playground repairs and mulch upgrades to boiler controls that were installed and about at least a dozen other things. Moving on. You'll want Susan back. Yes, I know. We already do. Another item that is on for approval tonight is a new copier management contract. It's something we'll be asked you to approve in the business section. Matt has centralized what had been a very decentralized system. So this will allow us to transition to one provider with a copier and print management company. It will have more devices for centralized copying and printing with monthly reporting for centralized management. And Mr. Bolden, as usual, worked very hard on this, and it's something that increases the functionality for our users and at no increase in costs. So that comes with the recommendation from the committee. And lastly, we focused on last year's budget, unaudited. It looks like there's going to be a modest surplus. We'll wait to see the audited numbers. That would be positive. But there are some structural challenges with the budget that the operations committee is focused on and will continue to focus on, and we'll ask the administration to pay close attention to. And that concludes my report. Our next meeting is Wednesday, October 4th at 8 in the morning, and it is open to the public.
Thank you,
Debbie.
Mr.
Yes, can I comment that I want to thank the public for approving our referendum when we put in all the HVAC, because on those first couple days of school, kids in Princeton got to stay in school. I know some rooms were very cold, but we heard that a lot of schools had to send kids home. So that was one thing that was, thank you to the public for supporting that for us and our students.
Thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Mr. McDonald, for that comprehensive report. Moving on to personnel with Debbie Braunfeld. Oh, and I'm sorry, co-chairs, Debbie Braunfeld and Mara Franceschi.
All right. We are the only closed committee, so and my report will be very short and sweet. The Personnel Committee met at 8:15 on Thursday, September 21st. We discussed a variety of topics, including meeting the area market rate for substitute teachers, which we'll be voting on upcoming. And we talked about hiring Lauren Friedman for the new PHS assistant principal position, which we just voted on. The district will be holding a drop-in job fair on October 11th to fill vacant positions. And our next meeting will be 8:15 Thursday, October 12th, but regrettably closed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mara. Next up is policy with co-chairs Beth Barron and Jean Durbin.
I'll take it. Thanks. Policy met on September 15th at 8:15 in the morning. It's open to the public. It's a virtual meeting. We had an update on communications for the referendum, and then we continue to address regular policy alerts from our policy provider, Strauss Esme. This helps ensure that our policies are up to date with new laws. Some policies, I'm talking to you because you're our board rep. Some policies are mandatory and we have to review them, and we review changes to policies to make sure that they fit with our school culture. So it might sound boring, but it's actually kind of an interesting committee if you are, like rules and regulations and how they work. Policies on for first and second read tonight, unmanned aircraft / drones. As well as student discipline code of conduct. We also addressed some advocacy issues in the committee. So we're in the process of working with the Mercer County Board of Elections, as well as our town municipal clerk, to remove polling locations from our schools because we lose a day of school, 2 days of school during election day because the schools are closed now. And we're looking to work on an AI policy. Good suggestion of Michelle Tuck-Ponder, who's on the committee with us. Our provider doesn't have a standard AI policy yet, but we think it's time to get one. And we're looking at working to reduce fees that we would pay during elections to off-cycle elections to monitor drop boxes where you drop your ballots. So it's a whole array of issues. And the next meeting is Friday, October 13th at 8:15 in the morning.
Thank you, Jean. And I do want to thank you and Debbie Braunfeld and Dr. Kelly for your support and your advocacy in moving voting out of the schools. It's other districts have done it. It's past time. And, if you want something done, give it to Jean and Debbie because they are like dogs with bones. And so we appreciate your advocacy for kids because really that's what it's about. So thank you. And now to give Brian McDonald a run for his money is Betsy Baglio with the Student Achievement Committee report.
You're in rare form this evening, but thank you very much. I'm actually going to be brief. We had a brief meeting in public. It was on September 8th, and it was the first week of school. It was a heavy lift for our staff, for Dr. Tu, but she brought people together and it was a great meeting. We heard the annual matriculation report, which you all heard this evening. Dr. Barnes Johnson came to speak about a really exciting Science Enrichment Saturday Academy, which is beginning in October, I believe, for some 7th grade students. And we always welcome her innovation, and it's a very exciting program to hear about. Mickey Crisafulli came to the meeting with Lauren Sarah Moore to speak about a new interventionist role that will be providing services to our K-5 program and how this new role will benefit student learning. And then we had an overnight trip approval that is on it's on the board agenda for approval tonight for Model UN. Dr. Montuano Laksamana from the high school came, and I should say Naparna Shah and John McMichael presented the matriculation report to us. So we had a time for public comment, and we adjourned to closed session. Our next meeting is actually Friday, October 13th, as well as policy. I predict with Friday the 13th, we will have a really short meeting, which never happens for student achievement, but the public is always welcome. It's going to happen. The public is welcome, and we do really try to get that Zoom link on our calendar. So we're going to check on that, but thank you.
All right. Thank you, Betsy. Okay. Moving on to policies, K1 first reading, K2 second reading, and then personnel, stop me. L1 appointments, L2 resignations, L3 retirements, L4 personnel items, L5 transfer reassignments, L6 6-period compensation, L7 non-athletic EPS. L8, process schedule C stipend appointment. L9, leave of absence. L10, substitute student placement. L11, curriculum and instruction. L12, student services. L13, waiver request, interim assistant superintendent. L14, evaluation forms. And L15, job description.
Action item.
Okay.
I just wanted to note that we
Yeah.
did have one retirement where
Sure.
Michael Giles, a PHS custodian, was with us for more than 30 years. So I just wanted to note that and send some appreciation his way. He's retired. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is okay. Do we need it to be action? No, we don't need it to do. We don't need it to be action.
It's an action item.
Okay, so can I get a motion, please? Brian, second. Jean. Matt does not like when we mess up his sandbox.
Daphne Kendall.
Yes.
Betsy Baglio.
Yes.
Beth Barron.
Yes.
Debbie Bronfeld.
Yes.
Jean Durbin.
Yes.
Mara Franceschi.
Yes.
Susan Cantor.
Yes.
Brian McDonald.
Yes.
Michelle Tuck Ponder.
Can we just say again what we're voting on?
Job
What item?
description for the student.
Advisor of school council.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. Rob Christopher.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Bolden. All right, moving on. M1, curriculum and instruction, educational consultants, Princeton Family Institute. M2, grant application acceptance, high impact tutoring. M3, is that an action item?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Can I get a motion, please? Mara, second. Betsy.
Daphne Kendall.
Yes.
Betsy Baglio.
Yes.
Beth Barron.
Yes.
Debbie Bronfeld.
Yes.
Jean Durbin.
Yes.
Mara Franceschi.
Yes.
Susan Cantor.
Yes.
Brian McDonald.
Yes.
Michelle Tuck Ponder.
No.
Rob Christopher.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Can I get a motion for M4, MSAN student conference? First, Rob, second, Mara.
Can I ask a question?
Mhm.
So I just want to understand, we pay like a membership, thank you. And then that membership, which I don't know how much that is, but that covers our students going.
It's based on the size of the district. I
Mhm.
think it's probably 15.
Yeah. And with that, we get services and support with them. And then it's like, I don't want to say a club, but it's sort of the students have their own organization. And then with that becomes membership to go to a conference. It's 8 slots and then 2 adult slots to go to this conference in Wisconsin.
They also do a Spring Institute where we could send a certain number of adults for a learning conference. And they have a governing board of superintendents. So the fee includes our attendance at those meetings. And then they also have a research practitioner group where those individuals from the district, individuals like a Kim Chu, would be able. So that's what the fees include.
So, and can I just clarify? So, does it cover the travel expenses as well for the 8 students and 2 chaperones, or is it just the registration at the event?
It's the registration, and the district has always covered the travel expenses as well of the students.
Okay, entirety. So the
Yeah.
families are not asked.
They're not asked to
Okay.
pay. Mhm.
And that is what is up to $6,000 total.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
But now, is this going to go like next year through the process?
If that's what the board would like, yes. In previous years, it's never gone to SAC. It's always just been on the board agenda because we had a conference membership through MSAN. Yes. So I could put it on for SAC next year.
But as a field trip, like, I mean, I understand, I just want to make sure I understand because it's board approved, but it should be like board process approved.
I wonder though, did it fall off because of the pandemic?
Oh, maybe. Okay.
Right? And
we've had change of people.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I was told that it was never through, like, there's no history of it, that it was always because we had a membership with them. It never followed the typical field trip
Typically,
processes.
whenever students are away for overnight trips, I
Mhm.
mean, I can speak for this committee only, not future boards certainly, but I think having any overnight trip that students go to, whether the families pay or the district pays, is something that we'd like to bring into the same form.
Okay.
Right, because I'm thinking the middle school, when they used to go to DC, it was paid for by the district, but we always approved it.
It wasn't paid, it was.
Well, okay.
Yeah, we paid partial.
Okay.
I think the difference is SAC versus full board. So it's board approval, but it never went to SAC in the past.
Right.
So you're
Correct.
asking for it to be at SAC in the future.
Going forward, please. Thank you.
Okay, and we're just gonna,
Daphne Kendall,
yes.
Betsy Baglio.
Yes.
Beth Barron.
Yes.
Debbie Bronfeld,
Yes.
Jean Durbin,
Yes.
Mara Franceschi,
Yes.
Susan Cantor,
Yes.
Brian McDonald,
Yes.
Michelle Tuck Ponder,
Yes.
Rob Christopher.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mr. Bolden. Then we have M5, which is student day field trip. And moving on to student special services. Okay, and one, educational placement of pupils, 23-24. N2 is an action item. Can I get a motion? Rob, second. Mara?
Daphne Kendall,
Yes.
Betsy Baglio,
Yes.
Beth Barron,
Yes.
Debbie Bronfeld,
Yes.
Jean Durbin,
No.
Mara Franceschi,
Yes.
Susan Cantor,
Yes.
Brian McDonald,
Yes.
Michelle Tuck Ponder,
Yes.
Rob Christopher.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, then we have N3, special education agreement. Could I get a motion? Jean, second. Susan?
Daphne Kendall,
Yes.
Betsy Baglio,
Yes.
Beth Barron,
Yes.
Debbie Bronfeld,
Yes.
Jean Durbin,
No.
Mara Franceschi,
Yes.
Susan Cantor,
Yes.
Brian McDonald,
Yes.
Michelle Tuck Ponder,
Yes.
Rob Christopher.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Then we have N4, special education agreement. Could I get a motion? Jean, second. Debbie?
Daphne Kendall,
Yes.
Betsy Baglio,
Yes.
Beth Barron,
Yes.
Debbie Bronfeld,
Yes.
Jean Durbin,
No.
Mara Franceschi,
Yes.
Susan Cantor,
Yes.
Brian McDonald,
Yes.
Michelle Tuck Ponder,
Yes.
Rob Christopher.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, and one last one. 01, financial reports. Can I get a motion? Brian, second. Jean?
Daphne Kendall,
Abstain?
Betsy Baglio,
Yes.
Beth Barron,
Yes.
Debbie Bronfeld,
Yes.
Jean Durbin,
Yes.
Mara Franceschi,
Yes.
Susan Cantor,
Yes.
Brian McDonald,
Yes.
Michelle Tuck Ponder,
Yes.
Rob Christopher.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, now hopefully we can speed it up. Okay, 02, fire and evacuation drills. 03, sustainability consulting services, Sustainable Princeton. 04, joint transportation agreement with the Robbinsville School District. 05, the district print management services that Mr. McDonald told us about. And 6, district copier and maintenance agreement that Mr. McDonald also told us about. 07, registration and travel agenda. 08, VHD Architectural Group contracts. And next up, we're moving on to our second public comment on any item, agenda or non-agenda. Nope, not seeing anyone. Q1 consent vote. Can I get a motion? Jean, second. Rob?
Daphne Kendall,
Yes.
Betsy Baglio,
Yes.
Beth Barron,
Yes.
Debbie Bronfeld,
Yes.
Jean Durbin,
Yes.
Mara Franceschi,
Yes.
Susan Cantor,
Yes.
Brian McDonald,
Yes.
Michelle Tuck Ponder,
Yes.
Rob Christopher.
Yes.
Consent agenda passes.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bolden. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, board members, for your hard work this month. Our October 17th meeting is going to be in person. And that is because we're going to have a special guest. Somebody's getting his therapy dog designation. I'm just going to say his name is Tiger, but I don't know if he knows yet, but he will be joining us. Yeah. Yes, so don't tell him. And our November meeting is right now scheduled for the 21st, and that will be virtual. So with that, can I get a motion to adjourn? That went up quickly. The other ones, I'm like, Debbie, second. Beth. All in favor? Thank you. You got a date there, Jean? All right, good night.